Hey folks, Steve here in Love of Nation in Arms video. We're going to be looking at the summer of 1793, and I've already gotten a lot of the preliminary stuff out of the way. I've done the diplomacy, which there was none, and the event card stage, and so a couple of things. I had the card events happen before the Levée en Masse production step because normally event cards are played before the production step. So the coalition player, I'm sorry, the French player had the terror card in their hand and they had to play it because it's a public event. When this is played, this is the problem. Every time a French leader commanding a force is defeated in battle, not a skirmish, so it's only minor or major, he is removed from the game on 4 to 6 on the d6. This card is canceled by the directory. So, the terror is bad. The terror is the sort of extreme effect of the revolution. So, while we have the Committee of Public Safety, which gives us greater control on getting the cards we need to make revolutionary advances in how France is organized and its military is operating. The offside to that, the bad side, is the terror. So if we have a good leader who fails us, he will be executed. So we don't want that to happen. And so the directory card, which will come in 1794, will stop the terror, but would also stop our Committee of Public Safety. And we still need to get the Carnot card before that. We need the Carnot card. We need to pick that. We need to get it in play to bolster the French forces. Now, with play of the Levée en Masse as well, that takes effect this turn, we see now that there are the Vendée units. So there are two corps, both with a +2 assault modifier, which makes them potent units, and a really good leader who's got a really long name that I'm not going to try to say. Well, he shows up in the Vendée, which is going to be a problem. But then we did do the French production. So I have added all the units that are onto the board, strengthening various units that are out there. And this guy is misplaced. Where is he supposed to be? Crap. All right, hold on, guys. There was a guy sitting here, and I don't know why he's sitting there. He should not be there. I think he needs to be in a stack somewhere, and I forgot to place him. Dang it. Let me take care of that. Okay, my bad. He was supposed to be in Biron's stack here. So I did the production. I've even rearranged leaders because I consider that part of production, for better or for worse. So this gives the French kind of a second life for what's on the map. And it will be France really needs to go first. They need the first chit to be French. They need it to be at least a 1, 2, or 3 chit, because what they need to do, or I guess we could make do with a 4 chit, but here's the strategy. We need to, you can kind of draw the line, right? Like France is, in this little box right here, almost diamond shaped. What I've decided to do is I built an army here in the south, the Army of Italy, which is really the Army of Spain at this point, but we'll worry about that later. Um, with this leader guy, his name is Hochard. Hocard. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. We need a strength, a decent strength army down here. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps here, which is a pretty strong force. I need to put something down in the south. I have to. I'm kind of being almost pushed out of my own space if I don't. And I'm going to desperately need him to both fight off this stack, sieging Bayonne, and oppose Ricardos's Spanish army. He must defeat both. So he's got to pick one direction, go smash that force, activate again later in the turn, and go against Ricardos and hope for the best and try to knock them back. Why is that so important? Well, we need to reduce the Spanish because of the special not surrender rules, but peace rules in this scenario. So in the spring of 1794, a different mechanic comes into play that's special to the scenario, where both Spain and Prussia and their allies may leave the war. you roll a die, and on a 6, they leave. You can get modifiers to that to make it more likely that they will leave in that time frame. So if that power has no units in France, there's a +1. And then if France controls a fortress within that power's territory, it's another +1. So if we can just force these stacks out of France, then we will be we will essentially have a +1 to that die roll, making it a 33% chance that Spain just leaves. Right? If we manage to come across the border and take a couple of forts, so let's just say, we went hardcore here and we took Saint Sebastian and Burgos, and I don't know, we ran around some here. You guys can't see because I don't have it. Okay, there we go. Here, Saint Sebastian, Burgos, maybe Zaragoza, or maybe we come around here, go to Girona, Barcelona, Girona, Barcelona. Any of those, if I can take a couple of forts, well, then maybe it's a 50% chance. And as soon as Spain leaves, we can almost say that the southern front is covered. We got to deal with Austria and all this business over here. But at least I would knock out one whole opponent. And the same thing for Prussia. So right now, Prussia is really situated here, which is technically French territory. So we'll have to push him out one way or another. So we've got Brunswick stack, and then we've got Prussians as part of the army group up here. Somehow we got to push those guys out of France, because taking fortresses in their territory seems unlikely. But if we can at least knock them back, if we got lucky with the die roll, then Prussia leaves. So if somehow we got really fortunate in 1794, and we're in a position where both Spain and Prussia leave, then I think the French have a really great capability to win, because then they're only fighting Britain and Austria. Britain doesn't have enough forces to build to be that much more significant of a threat. And then, we can face Austria one-on-one as France decently enough. So I think there's a strong incentive to try to knock these guys out, but we have to be opportunistic. But there'll always be a 1 in 6 chance of them leaving. We can at least count for that. If we fail operationally, there's still a chance, and we'll bank on that. So that's what's going to drive some of the more operational decision making. I need to close off a front so that the other fronts can be reinforced. So again, if we shut this down, then we can swing over here, liberate, maybe even be thinking about pushing into northern Italy, but more likely these guys can start to shift up. We fend off the Prussians and the Austrians, exhaust them, and I'm knocking all my stuff over. Then France is in much better shape, effectively. So I think that's what they want to do. We did spend some of our new production trying to secure up Luckner here so that he can face off against the Vendée, and I think I've got a position where he can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and actually have it so these guys don't have a retreat path. So if they're defeated, they should be able to be defeated wholesale. I'm hoping, I'm thinking. We'll see. I put maybe it's bad placement for these guys, but I had put them here thinking, like, okay, we've got the ability to offset a cavalry advantage and artillery advantage against these guys. So that's holding up in the forest is good, except now they don't have a good retreat path. So I don't know, bad, good, however you want to look at it. It wouldn't do them any good to get pushed out in the field here, because then we can probably surround them, knock them out. I don't know. These insurgent units are really distractions more than they're really anything compared to big, gigantic army groups of Prussians, Austrians, and British. Oh my! So there you go. So yeah, the critical campaign here are one Levé-en-Masse play where the French get a bonus production. They need that to compete at this point, but if they can survive, what it will mean is we hope to see some of the coalition breaking apart, which will even the odds over time as best as we can manage. That's what we want to have happen, guys. That's what we want to have happen. All right, so I've already got the cup loaded up. Let me see if there's anything else I want to cover here. One thing I should point out is that the coalition have the winter campaign card. This is really a benefit to them because depending on how summer and autumn go, if the coalition wants to, they can play the winter campaign and make the winter turn like a full campaign turn. And what this will mean is like it's bad for the French because they're on the strategic defensive, right? They're trying to outlast the coalition so that members start to leave, that they can survive long enough to start getting more cards that benefit the French over time, and all that kind of stuff we need to have happen over time. So for that, it's going to come down to the coalition deciding, hey, have they cracked the French enough that they think another full campaign season is going to get some level of victory, then they'll play the winter campaign. If they are on the back foot because the French have managed to push them back, then they won't play that card, and that advantage will occur. So we're gonna pull the first chip from the cup and see what we get, and we get Coalition Land 4. Let me see. Is there anybody who's a 4 activation on the coalition? Oh, there is. Yeah, the Vendée Rebels. So I think we're going to have them attack the French. Now, like these two are going to fight no matter what. I think these two are going to fight. So I think this is like an obvious thing. They're going to try to attack Luckner. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. It's going to be a skirmish, so Luckner's not in danger of being executed. This one, I think it's going to work out to be. Hold on, let me check the supply for. Hold on. Okay. So the supply situation, I had to work it at like these guys are always in supply, so I had to verify that. These guys have a +2 for their lead assault, a +2 for their leader. The artillery numbers are the same, 1-to-1. The French lead unit is just a 0 because of the lack of Carnot, and we have a +1 for the leader. So it's definitely an advantage to the Vendée Rebels at this point. So we'll roll it out. Okay, they got an 11, which is a 1-step loss to the French, and the French get. Ooh, okay. Well, that's different. So I rolled boxcars with a +1 is 13. So it's a 1-step loss to 1-step loss. But the French got a +1, so they're the winners. Interesting. So these guys take a step loss. Oh gosh, they're +2 on the other side still. Jeez. And these guys take a step loss, but the French win, which means these guys are done activating for the moment. So we'll put a first activation marker on them. These guys are going to be tough. I'm going to have to do something about that. I don't know. I don't think Luckner is going to be able to do it on his own. All right. Well, that was it for the 4 chit, and we'll go now for the French chit pull. Okay, we got a really good one. We got French Land 2, which means most of our forces on the map are going to activate. I'll show the aftermath of that. I won't do it all on camera. Again, I don't want this video to be like an hour long, guys. I want it to be shorter than that. So we'll show the aftermath here shortly. Okay, here we are after the first French activation. We did have our Southern Army come over here, obliterate the Spanish force there, and is trying to make his way back. Ricardos is now a little less certain of what to do because this guy could easily start pushing through into Spain. So, what good will it do to progress forward? Uncertain. Here, our force with Custine came over and fought the Piedmontese, did a step loss to them, caused them to retreat into their detachment, which they absorbed. But now they're kind of at the end of their supply reach, and so this may, this whole channel might be slowed down quite a bit. Here against the Vendée, they boofed off each other a little bit with some minor skirmishes that didn't go anywhere. So that remains kind of a tight situation. We do want to solve that somehow. Here against the Prussians, Dumourier's stack had a epic battle. Well, it was a minor battle, but it was epic in that the French managed to win a nice, clean victory against the Prussians, causing a number of step losses. The Prussians then proceeded to become demoralized again. So, like, we haven't had demoralization too much, but it happened, and has reduced the Brunswick stack to, I think it's like one step. Yeah, one step of Prussian infantry. Because they're demoralized, they can avoid combat pretty easily. But the Dumouriez then swept over here and liberated Strasbourg. So he's kind of weakened right now from the fight, and then retaking Strasbourg, but it puts them in a good situation. The one tough thing is Teschen's army and this small Austrian force kind of have an open line of operation, but we had to do something. So what I'm afraid is going to happen, but there's just no way to avoid it. I think it's like, hey, we're gonna snatch this, and then potentially Teschen's gonna. Well, we're gonna figure something out. Like Teschen can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and potentially try to knock this out. It's kind of a weird, like the supply situation is going to be funky, but then this guy could try to run up into Paris potentially. Not that that's going to cause France to fall, mind you, but it's going to make it tough to dig themselves out of there. We did have Anselm's force kind of move around to pick up some units and set himself right here to kind of guard the flank a little bit, because we had our northern army. He went, picked up units in Raz, came back, had just enough movement points to engage in combat with the British. The British failed to avoid. The Austro-Prussians also failed to intercept and failed to march to guns. And the French were able to kind of have a standoff with the British and entirely wiped out the British stack. It was a bit unfair because it was like 12 steps on the French side against, like, I think it ended up being like 8 steps or something for, or 6 steps for the British. And they beat them, and then the British actually demoralized, and the subsequent cavalry pursuit eliminated the rest of the stack. So there went the British army marker is gone, the stack is gone, the leaders are off the board. So Britain's attempt to enter the continent started strong, but were defeated. Granted, these guys took some a step loss or two, which means they're going to be at a disadvantage against the big army here, and we're going to have to watch out because these guys might just come and try to steamroller this stack. So I think the French have done everything that they can. They're in a good, okay position to operate, but they've still got a long way to go to feeling secure, even with a total destruction of a British army. I mean, how often does that happen? Not super often. All right, we're going to go to the cup, see what happens next. At the very least, the British will probably get to go, and they'll be able to activate a lot of their stuff. We got a neutral naval, which might as well not even exist. And then we're going to have coalition naval 1. So I do think there's going to be something worth doing as the coalition with their navy. I think it's going to be take this stack and have it come into here. That might be the only thing we bother to do. And let's see, we got a 4 versus 7, 10, 16. I'm pretty sure all these guys get completely eliminated. Yeah. So French fleet gets destroyed off the Bay of Biscay. I don't think we need to do much else right now because there is no French fleet. So we'll go to the next cup. chit pull. French naval 2, so this was the turn I put the naval 2 markers in. There's nothing to do there. We'll go back into the cup. And neutral land, which is a waste. And then we get coalition land 1, so everybody can activate this this turn, or this impulse. All coalition forces can activate. So we'll see what the coalition can do against the French now. Can they penetrate the defensive perimeter of France proper? Very likely they can, but we'll see what happens. Well, hey, folks, it's kind of hard to tell because of all of these activation markers, but things are not looking good for the French at all. Very badly, in fact. Boy. So the Spanish did take Toulouse. And then we had the Army of the Rhine with Teschen come forward and take Dijon, leaving behind detachments which allowed for Bilot's corps to run up and jump into Paris. The Vendée pushed the French away and destroyed the fort at Saumur. The Austro-Prussian army managed to head towards the French army that managed to retreat, but got retreated in a weird position. And I probably shouldn't have retreated that way, because then we had this small Austrian detachment come down here and destroy the fort at Raz, which leaves these guys in a supply pickle, as it were, and the main French army is in deep trouble. Now, what they can do is force the Austrians back here away, or to do something along those lines, to try to get supply back. But boy, it's a tough situation to be in. And when we look at the conquer rules, right, like this is what's going to end the game, is, let me see if I can find it. France, loss of Paris, Bordeaux, and Lyon. So I guess technically, you know, these areas need to be taken and we can still hold on, but it's going to be tough coming back from this. That's for sure. It's going to be a tough game. So let's see what comes out of the cup next. And we get Empire Naval 1. I don't think they're going to do anything with that. And then we get Coalition Naval 2. I don't think there's much that they want to do at this point. Like, they're pretty happy with the present situation. So we'll go ahead and pull the next chit 2, and we got Empire Land 4. Now this is interesting. The only stack that's going to be able to activate on Empire Land 4, I'm reasonably confident, is only going to be our army. Yeah. So we've got to think about what we want to do. I think we certainly want to try to liberate Paris, and then, you know, well, what are our options? Liberate Paris and then try a sweeping maneuver to force these guys into deep trouble. I think we could do that. Yeah, let's see what happens, guys. I'm going to try something tricky with this army. We're going to head down here, clear Paris, open up a supply path, swing back up around if we can, because it's really like 1, 2 for the fight, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and that would put these guys in trouble. Oh, it's going to be tough. All right, we'll see what happens, guys. Okay, guys, we're doing some wacky stuff. The French army came down, overran the forces in Paris. and then came back up, avoided an interception, came up, and is now attacking the Austro-Prussian stack, which will be out of supply for the combat. However, because the French stack started out of supply, they remain out of supply for the duration of the turn, even though they liberated Paris and cleared it out. So now we're going to have a combat here between these two armies. Both are technically out of supply. The French did roll attrition and lost a step. Being out of supply means artillery has no factor. This is probably an advantage to the French because they don't have, they were weak on artillery, but now artillery doesn't matter. I calculated all the bonuses, and right now the die rolls would be a flat die roll of bonuses because the Austro-Prussians get a bunch, but then they -4 for being out of supply. They have a straight die roll. The French have a -1. However, I realize that this is the biggest battle we've really had, and it's a major battle at that, which means I'd like to use the tactics cards. Now, these are a separate deck of cards out here. They've got different effects. You can see an example like that. The actual combat effects are further down on the card. So, now what's interesting, again, I think this is a translation challenge with France, or for the French language, and this game was originally written. It says to shuffle the deck, and then it says to pick cards, but I assume that means draw because shuffling matters, I guess. I don't know how much it matters there, but shuffling does matter. So that must mean you draw blindly, not pick, or else there'd be no point in shuffling. So every side gets one card automatically, and then you get another one for the overall commander's combat modifier, which the French have the advantage on. So each side has a couple cards. The Austro-Prussians have 2. The French have 3. I've not looked at the cards yet. Looks like you're supposed to draw for the attacker first. I didn't do that. It didn't matter. So each player can use one tactical card, except leaders with a combat modifier of 2 or more. They can use an additional card. We actually, the second tactical card requires another subordinate leader. Okay, I have that. The leader will be able to use this tactical card by rolling a d6 modified by the combat modifier and getting at least a 5. And we got it. I rolled a 6. Okay. The leader has used his tactical card. He will undergo a leader casualty check no matter what the result of the battle is. So you get to draw so many. I'm going to zoom out a second so it's easier to show the card. So here's the French hand. So we get to pick, let's see, Cossacks. I don't think that's going to be useful. Battle of Nations. Now this is a good one. Yeah, we want that. We're going to play that for sure. And this one doesn't matter because he does have light cavalry corps. So let's see. Yeah, these aren't going to matter. This one will matter. So we're going to at least play this. And the Austro-Prussians get to pick one of these. Okay, we're going to try this. So we need to, we'll roll a die, we'll play flank attack. We got to roll a 5 or a 6. They get it. They get it. So the Austro-Prussians have a flank attack. So what the cards net together mean is that there's a +2 to the Austro-Prussian die roll. There's still a -1 to the French die roll, which puts the French at a disadvantage here, which is unfortunate, but so it goes. Okay, let me see. Did I play the tactics cards right? Okay, so when you're done with tactics cards, they go back into the deck and it's shuffled every time. So it's possible we'll get those same cards that don't have any meaning to the battle, like Cossacks, doesn't matter. A lot of those cards didn't matter. So we'll roll dice. That's a bummer. So, okay, Austro-Prussians with a 4 and French with an 8. So, let's see, what's that? 4, 8. Okay, so the French lose 1 step, and the Austro-Prussians are going to lose 3 steps. So I wonder how we do the losses here. Combat results. I guess we want to take losses evenly besides the lead unit. So 1, 2, yeah, 1, 2, 3, and then we've got a morale check. So across all these units, they have a 3 morale, plus 1 is a 4. So, and the step loss of 2. And they're demoralized, and they're going to take 1, 2, 3 more step losses. 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, that worked out splendidly, though the die rolls were kind of not fair for the Austro-Prussians. They rolled snake eyes, so I don't know. I don't know what to do with that, guys. So they're demoralized, and we'll get a demoralization marker on them. Since I can find one. And let's say they would have to head over there. And that's the net effect, which is devastating. Now, I think we have to do another attrition check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where's my attrition? And let's roll die. Okay. So the French are fine. Okay, so the revolution lives on, guys. They've got they've got a heaping helping of trouble here. And their activation is done for the French. Oof, 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 guys. I'm going to go back to the cut. And we can't play Empire Land 1. Can't play Empire Land 3. We get Empire Land 2. Or, I'm sorry, Coalition Land 2. These guys need to escape for sure. So they got to go 1, 2. Are we going to intercept? I think we want to try. I rolled a 9. Let's see. Does the intercept work? Intercept 9. What do we have? We have light cavalry +1, -1 for the swamp. Initiative of the intercepting units is greater. It is. So this is a successful interception. interestingly enough. And these guys are back in a supply. These guys are not in supply. Oh gosh. I know this army's going to get eliminated. Oh my gosh. It's all because of Snake Eyes, guys. This is what happens. You think you're going to destroy the French Revolution, and then you roll Snake Eyes in combat. Good gracious me. Okay, this is not going to be good for them, because I think this is, if I get this right, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. The French have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 steps. So 1 to 1, but the French have artillery advantage. I forgot to roll some leader checks, which I should do. Fine and fine. Okay, that didn't matter from the previous combat. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. One, two. Okay, this is going to be a bloodbath, guys. A awful bloodbath for the Austro-Prussians, because the French are going to have an advantage on artillery and artillery from being back in supply, and then, well, are they back in supply? They would count 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're back in supply. So they're in supply. These guys are not in supply. They're demoralized. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, guys, this is real bad. This stack's going to get eliminated. Which almost breaks the game. Because it's so many guys that are about to be lost. I can't even really contemplate this. All right. So the French are going to have like a +4 right now if they don't use any subordinate leaders from... Oh man, this is terrible. All right. The French have an artillery advantage +2. They've got a leader advantage for their main leader that gives them a +4. They don't need to use a subordinate leader. The Austrians have basically a -4 from being out of supply, a +1 for their leader, maybe a +1 for their lead unit, being a Austrian cavalry. And I don't think anything else really matters. And we could just let that be the die roll. So when we look at it, it is 1, 2, 3, 4. 8 to 9. So this is just a minor battle. But 2d6 for the French. They get a 10, so that's 2 step losses. And the Austrians roll a 4, -2 is 2, which is nothing. So 2 step losses to the Austrians. I'm trying to divide these evenly as best we can. And they're gonna lose the fight. They're gonna have a demoralization. Check they're going to have to do, which they're already demoralized. So does this mean there's a pursuit already? Probably. Jeez Louise. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. This is getting messy. Well, they're already demoralized, so I don't even know if we need to check for a demoralization check, because they're already demoralized. So then they would lose 3 more steps. And then they would need a retreat, and I'm not sure what happens to a Zoc at this point. All right, I got to look up the zone of influence stuff, guys. Hold on. So when a army that has a zone of influence is in a battle, they don't have the zone of influence, which allows the Austro-Prussians to retreat, and they can retreat 2 hexes to Lille. So they got away, but they're now down to 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. My gosh. So I don't know what to do with that. That feels like, I mean, it's not a game-ending blow, but that really shifts how things are going to operate from here. Very tough to figure out how we're going to come through from that. Could maybe, yeah, boy. Well, we'll do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. We'll have these guys come, and let's see if these guys can do it again. Now they are going to have to do a supply attrition check. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oof. That's not good attrition for Teshin at all. Rolled boxcars. So now this isn't this. All right. If the French win the scenario, I will tell you exactly why. 1, we have the Austro-Prussians roll snake eyes in the most important battle of the game. Okay. Then a second Austrian army rolls boxcars on attrition, which is bad. Oh, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Boxcars, what are the modifiers? We go down 1. And okay, so that actually isn't so bad. They because they spent, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they stop there. They only lose 1 step. But they're done sitting in Paris again. These guys, let's see, do they try to fight? Well, let me just handle the rest of this activation off camera, guys. Okay, we chose not to have the Spanish move anymore. The Neapolitan army has come up to here, so they can eventually do a maneuver against Lyon. The Emigre stack finally came out to play to sit on Dijon, and then we didn't want to contest this army because this French stack would be defeated very likely. We are going to leave these Austrians here for now. We moved Brunswick's battered stack to join up with some corps to get replenishments. And, well, that's the best we could do right now. So we'll go back to the cup. And we can't do coalition land, so we'll do Empire Land 3. Okay, guys, I just played through the rest of the chits because I feel like, I'm just getting frazzled with hitting record and playing some more, and I just played through, okay? And good and bad things happened for the French. So they actually wiped out the Spanish army with a good roll and a pursuit. Um, so the Spanish still have Perpignan, but this situation is now pretty under control. Here, the Neapolitan army is starting to move through. Uh, we had Luckner basically say, have the Vendée, and he came to defend Lyon. Um, Here, we had Demurier move through and totally mess up the line of supply around here, eliminating a uh, uh, what do you call it? A supply depot of the Austrians. So this whole area is kind of opened up actually, which the French wish they could capitalize on it and go marching to Vienna, but they really just can't do that. Latour is trying to get away. Of course, he just has a corps, so there's not much for him to do. So really, this whole area has become cleaned up by the French, kind of focusing on clearing it. The emigres have tried to run to cover Rheims to keep the French production or hold on to this spot. You can kind of see this weird line of coalition forces now with Teschen sitting in Paris, Hoke nearby, but the larger Austro-Prussian army demoralized in Lille, having managed to get back into some level of a safe place. Um, so it's kind of weird, like what is going to happen next. I feel like uh Hochard down here, I don't think we have much to worry about from the Portuguese, to be honest. So I think he may come down here, clear this, maybe come up and clear this. uh well, or he's going to come over here, clear this, and then maybe swing back over, force the Portuguese away, and start heading up. I mean, he could start heading at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think we're feeling pretty good there. Um, Everywhere else, it's so unknown. What can happen here. I think again that for sure. I think this game is decided on that snake eye die roll for the Austro-Prussian army. Almost any other result, and they probably could have beaten the French, and that would have left the French basically defenseless against everything else going on. So it is just one of those funny things, like the die rolls can go such a hard way. So it'll kind of be like, if the French win, it's because of that die roll. If the die roll had been anything else, I would imagine that the coalition could have won, because without that army, if they had managed to eliminate this army, everything else would have fallen apart from there. So it's not like that's the main impact of the game is going to come down to this one die roll. But that's it for the summer of 1793. We're going to go into the autumn turn next, and boy, it's been a bloody year. I've got tons of stuff being tossed aside. I do think that the French have a reasonable chance of more or less winning the year if they can get this army activated once more. They don't get cut out of supply. They can come down through here, try to clear this up if they can go first. These guys can kind of loop back around west and kind of clear that, and Hochard can clean this up a little bit. We still got to worry about the Vendée units. They're kind of gnarly. They still have 3 steps, and we've got to figure out what to do with them. Um, I don't know. It's so tough. It's so tough to try to figure out like what can you actually try to do. Um, there's just enough forces down here to be problematic for the French to just straight up deal with. They need their bonus. They need their bonus. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. Kind of a wacky video, I know, a little long-winded at some parts. I'm trying to shorten these things down, but it's a tough thing. We'll see you in the next one for autumn 1793.